bringing peace and social justice issues into your living room, piece by piece. I'm your host, Pat Miner. And as you know, for the last several shows, we've been doing shows about Israel-Palestine, and we'll continue with that tonight. But our issue is that this time it'll be a little bit different because we're going to have an Israeli this time to talk about the issue. And so we're very happy to have with us Dr. Jeff Halper, and he is the executive director?
The director.
Director of the Israeli Committee Against House Demolitions, or ICAD, and he's going to share with us what he's been doing.
Right.
So let us
know. ICAD, the Israeli Committee Against House Demolitions, is an Israeli peace and human rights organization that's dedicated to ending the Israeli occupation and achieving a just peace between Israelis and Palestinians. We focus on the issue of house demolitions. Israel has a policy of demolishing Palestinian homes. 48,000 homes have been demolished in the occupied territory since 1967, since the occupation began. 18,000 homes were demolished over this summer in the attack on Gaza. So by focusing on the issue of house demolitions, we can expose the way the occupation works, because occupation can be a very abstract thing for people. We can also expose and really see through our work on the ground where Israel's going with the occupation. You know, I'm an anthropologist by profession. So instead of listening to what the politicians are saying, I'm looking at what they're doing on the ground. And you can tell from the demolitions on the ground, from land expropriations, from where the wall goes, highways, settlements, and so on, you know, what Israel's intentions are in terms of, is it genuinely working towards a two-state solution, which does not appear evident on the ground, or is it working in a systematic way to make its control permanent? And the issue of house demolitions also helps us bring out the human cost of the occupation, because these are families, normal families whose homes are being demolished. And here's the family, and here's their home, and here comes a bulldozer and the army, and it's gone. The house, in a very violent way, because the family is evicted and their furniture is thrown out, and if there's any protest, the people are beaten up, and there's shooting sometimes. Very traumatic for the families, and we can get photographs of it. You know, when I'm doing presentations, as I am tonight here in Iowa City, I walk people through a demolition, so they see that. But one of the most powerful parts of the demolition issue for our advocacy is the fact that it has nothing to do with security. I mean, where Israel has managed to convince politicians, the media, the general public, that everything it does is for security, defending itself against terrorism, where the Israelis are the victims and the actual victims are the perpetrators.
Yep.
Well, when you look at the house demolition issue, there's no security. In other words, if I would ask people out on the street here, why is Israel demolishing Palestinian homes? The only answer they could give me, the only thing that Israel leaves you with is, well, these must be homes of terrorists. I mean, why else would Israel do that?
First of all, in this part of the state, of the country, they would probably first say, they are? They probably wouldn't even know that you're doing it.
In Tel Aviv, they would ask, they are.
Really?
I mean, it's kind of an invisible part. I mean, that's also part of our work, is to make it visible and to show what Israel's doing. But okay, so when they finally understand that this is happening, again, the only explanation they have is, well, these must be terrorists. But when we actually tell the story of the demolitions, it turns out they're not terrorists. There's nothing security here, they're not criminals. This is simply a proactive act on the part of Israel in order to displace these people and take their land. So the house demolition issue is very powerful, but we're not limited to that. In other words, it's our vehicle for exposing the way the occupation works, But in fact, even if we ended the house demolition policy today, which we'd like to do, that doesn't end the occupation itself. Mm. So we use it as a vehicle, and certainly this whole phrase "to end the occupation" is really code for a two-state solution. In other words, here you have Israel on 78% of historic Palestine, and alongside of it, kind of marginally, you've got the West Bank and East Jerusalem and Gaza, the occupied territory, which only represents 22% of historic Palestine. So ending the occupation would mean ending Israel's occupation of the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza from 1967, and then having a Palestinian state emerge. But in our view, we've gone way beyond that now. Israel's settlements, there's more than 200 settlements, more than 500,000 Israelis living in the occupied territory. The wall, Israel's built a wall to imprison the Palestinians and to take a good part of their land. That's twice as high as the Berlin Wall and 5 times longer. The highway system that Israel's put in that links and incorporates the West Bank into Israel proper. With all of that, the two-state solution is gone. So today, we don't talk so much about the occupation. Our position is that Israel, in fact, has succeeded in doing what it wanted to do. And that is to take control of the entire country between the Mediterranean and the Jordan River. It's all under Israel today. There's only one government, there's one army, there's one water system, one electrical system, one highway system, one currency. Yeah. It's one country. But it's an apartheid state today because you have half the population, which is Israeli Jews, dominating and controlling the other half of the population, which is Palestinian Arabs, that have no civil rights, no national rights, and no state of their own. And assuming, and I think I can assume, that no one of your viewers is in favor of an apartheid state, then our task is very clear today. It isn't a two-state solution because Israel's eliminated that. And because it's created one state, and we can't allow one apartheid state to remain, it means then that we have to turn that one state that Israel created into a state, a democratic state with equal rights for everybody.